Mr. Brockington's class. Today we are going to depict the Allied invasion of Italy.
We will be interviewing several key people and recounting their involvement in the invasion.
First off, we will be interviewing George Patton and Bernard Montgomery.
Welcome, George Patton and Bernard Montgomery.
Hello, my name is George Patton, and I was a lieutenant of the United States 7th Army, and I was involved in the Allied invasion of Sicily and the race to capture Messina.
Hello, my name is Bernard Montgomery, and I am the Field Marshal of the British 8th Army. I was a key player in the Allied invasion of Sicily and the fall of Messina.
Though you both are allies, what motivates you to outcompete one another?
Well, it all started when...
The invasion of Sicily began on July 10, 1943, and ended on August 17, 1943. The Allies sought to land on the southeastern tip of the island and capture it because it offered a shipping route to pass through the Mediterranean. The Allies' primary goal was to drive Italy out of the war. Though the United States and Great Britain were allies, they were competitive throughout the invasion, especially during the race to capture Messina. This race came as a result of each country wanting to prove their troops' superiority over the other. In the end, Patton and his 7th Army arrived at Messina on August 17, 1943, hours before Montgomery and his British troops. Though they took Messina, it only led to an Axis escape rather than an Axis capture.
Our next guest is one who is known to have ruled with great power. Please welcome Benito Mussolini.
Hello, my name is Benito Mussolini. I'm a fascist Italian dictator, and I wish to turn Italy into another Roman Empire.
Tell me about Italy's coup to remove you and strip you of your powers.
Well, Victor Emmanuel III and the Grand Council met and decided, due to my poor economical and military rule, they decided to depose me on July 25, 1943.
How did you react to that?
Well, my job is pretty stressful, and I was super tired, so less work for me.
Can we predict any severe downfall in your future? During the month of April 1945, Mussolini, wanting to escape hatred and pressure, decided to flee to Lake Como with his mistress. He hoped to get away disguised as a German soldier, but was ultimately recognized by two partisans. He then was captured and killed on April 28, 1945, along with his girlfriend, and then were hung amongst other fascist leaders. The outcome of his death led to a new Italian government friendly to the Allies.
Moving on to Mark Clark, let's listen to his perspective on the Salerno landing, Battle of Monte Cassino, and liberation of Rome.
Greetings. I was a commander of the U.S. 5th Army. I was in fact involved in many different aspects of the Allied invasion of Italy.
What was your most desirable mission to be a part of?
I most enjoyed the landing at Salerno, aka Operation Avalanche, where I was able to work with the 82nd Airborne.
Salerno was picked as the first site of invasion on September 9, 1943, due to it being the northernmost point from which the Allies could fly their planes back from Sicily. This forcible entry showed the Allies' incorporation of both air, sea, and land integration. Though the Germans counterattacked 2 days after the initial invasion, Clark's troops, with the aid of the 83rd Airborne, were able to capture Salerno. Additionally, at Monte Cassino, Clark faced the Germans between January and May of 1944, using bombs and his superior military advance to defeat the Germans. Clark's last significant impact was when he led the liberation of Rome on June 4, 1944.
Now introducing John P. Lucas. Hello, John. Which battle did you lead your U.S. forces in?
I was involved in the Battle of Anzio. I fought against Field Marshal Albert Kesselring's German forces, who put up a pretty solid fight.
Let's go more into depth. How did your forces stack up against the German troops?
Well, I brought in a lot of artillery and numerous men, but it didn't go quite as quickly as I thought it would.
On January 22, 1944, the U.S. and British troops launched an amphibious attack on German troops on the west coast of Italy. The amount of U.S. military personnel and vehicles was astounding and very intimidating to the German forces. This battle was known to be one of the biggest and toughest Allied attacks throughout the duration of World War II.
Last up, we have one of the most skilled and decorated Nazi commanders who led the German field army in the Gustav Line battles.
Hello, my name is Albert Kesselring, and yes, my army did show great resistance when faced upon U.S. forces, which ultimately led to a stalemate.
Though the Allies brought in many troops and arsenal, Kesselring's German forces were able to match up with and contain both the U.S. and British troops. This occurred on the Gustav Lines, which were north of the city of Rome. Ultimately, they were able to hold off the Allied forces for about a 6-month stalemate. The stalemate resulted in many deaths, and the Allies succeeding in the end. At the end of the invasion, German troops in Italy surrendered on May 2, 1945, 2 days after the city of Berlin collapsed. Italy began to fall as the war came to an end, and in the spring of 1945, German forces were finally driven out of Italy and relocated into southern Austria. The Italians agreed to a conditional surrender, which allowed the Allies to land in southern Italy to push the Germans back up towards the northern peninsula. All the participants in the Allied invasion of Italy faced hundreds of thousands of casualties. U.S., Italian, German, and British troops suffered. However, in the end, the Allied forces reigned supreme.